I didn't know that you're just now admitting that you are a man that regularly takes baths.
Right now, that's the only thing. I don't know if it's because I grew up thinking like, oh, I could just take a bath in a giant tub. I don't know how long it's been since I took a bath in a normal-sized tub.
Well, I think nowadays, if you're taking a bath, you do it outside the trough.
In your blessed words, your two blessed words.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. I'm your host, Bill, season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. And we're settling in like old men into the bathtub for what is probably the most meaningful game the Bills have left on their schedule. Gather around as we have I'm your host, Bill, season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. As we slide into this tub of, I almost feel like Duke Silver right now. I feel catharsed, if that's the way you can say that term, Chris. I feel like
I didn't know
that
that you're just now admitting that you are a man that regularly takes baths.
Funny thing about that, I have a thing where, like, if I had a jacuzzi tub, like my parents have one of the bigger, like in my mom's bathroom, right? She had her own. When my parents built their house, my dad drafted the blueprints himself. They designed it. My dad literally built the house. And my mom had her own private bathroom because there was four of us boys, plus my dad. She wasn't going to share a bathroom with the five of us. So we got a thing down the hallway with double vanities and a shower stall. And she got this thing with this, like, Chris, Whirlpool jet tub in her bathroom. Right now, that's the only thing. I don't know if it's because I grew up thinking like, oh, I could just take a bath in a giant tub. I don't know how long it's been since I took a bath in a normal-sized tub, like ever in my life. I don't know how people do this. Doesn't it give you claustrophobia?
No, I think nowadays, if you're taking a bath, you do it outside in a trough.
I'm not going to lie to you. It would be simpler. It would be far simpler to just hose me off outside, scrub me down with a brush, maybe like one of the elephants at the zoo, or like Farva and Super Troopers.
Yes.
Just throw and he goes, oh, it's the lie. It's the lice hate it. He goes, this is powdered sugar.
It's delicious.
Baths are one of those weird things that I don't think I ever, like, I don't know, you can go back. I think that there's a moment when you're a kid where, like, my children right now are 5 and 3 and they're already taking showers. And once in a great while, if it's just one of them and there's enough room there, I'll give them a bath. But by and large, it's already shower time in our house. And I feel like once you cross that threshold, you really can't go back as a guy.
You can't.
Like, call that sexist, but I just think that it's hard to go back once you've established that you, like, hey, I can go do this. I can stand up. Because, Chris, how long does a bath take? Most of the time, I think to fill a bathtub, it takes longer than it does to take a shower.
Yeah, well, you're usually, if you're drawing a bath at our age, it's for some type of injury. You throw some, Epsom salt in there. You know, you do that for muscle aches.
That does raise a thing, though. There's a guy that you know him. I know him. Doug knows him. At one point, I used to live with him. A friend of mine. Very, very, very good friend of mine. I'll never forget coming home. We're probably all in our early 20s now, Chris. Early 20s. Come home. There's some, like, lightning crashes playing upstairs. It's
you
like
talking about live?
It's like live and the Tragically Hip on like a playlist. And I hear it from downstairs and I'm like, what the hell's going on in here? Why are the lights off? Where is everybody? Go upstairs. Dude's literally in the bathtub, like in a bubble bath with a glass of Baca Noir. Just a big glass of Baca Noir, listening to the Tragically Hip and live. It was one of those things where you're almost jealous that anybody can be that comfortable doing something that's patently absurd. What would it take to get you in a tub?
Nothing. It would have to be some type of amount of money for me to do that.
With all your injuries, like when you hurt your knee, no bath?
No.
You'd stand in a shower?
Yes.
See, you're fighting the good fight still. Speaking of fighting the good fight, I got a question ahead of this game. Is it a good thing that a team has emerged and is now challenging the Buffalo Bills, legitimately challenging the Buffalo Bills for the division? The Miami Dolphins have done kind of a half-baked job of it over the years, and I think we took it less and less seriously every time.
Yeah. Once they got Mike McDaniel, I think we lost to him like week 2 or 3, his first year, maybe second year. But then every year after that, it's been less and less serious.
And the losses that they sustain when they play us, they're not just losses, they're embarrassing. Like, it's usually an embarrassment. Like, think about it. Brian Flores gave them this shot at making, and they go, oh, all we have to do is beat the Bills' backups. And it was their version of the 0-4 Steelers game. Matt Barkley came in and threw 3 touchdown passes. I feel like we stopped being able to take them seriously.
Yeah.
I also think, I mean, so I guess here's my question to you. Do you think it's a good thing? After years of so little pushback in the AFC East, obviously we'd all like to have a 20-year run like our opponents this week did. But do you think it's a good thing that there is in-division competition, legitimate competition?
Yeah, I don't think Sean McDermott was prepared this year for it. I think he was just going to, we'll just cruise to another division title, because that first game we got fucking rocked by the Patriots. Patriots, that's what you get for the Chiefs' downfall. You have to take the Patriots being back.
Well, what's that that saying? When you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud.
Sure.
So I guess my thing is, as much as I hate it, and as much as I think that there couldn't be a less deserving fan base in the NFL of having its team finally pull itself out of the gutter after just 5-6 years?
Yeah.
2019 was Brady's last year?
Well, if it was his last year, it would have been with the Bucks, but
No, his last year in Foxboro.
I guess.
I think it was 2019. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Patriots. Even though Twitter had asked us to do that this weekend. Go be a fan of someone else.
Yeah, Twitter was rough this weekend. It's rough out there in those streets if you care about anyone else's opinion. But I almost think it sucks that we're in the position we're in relative to theirs right now in an NFL season. But I will say, on its face, it's good that this is happening, if only because maybe it's the thing that forces our. When you think back to where Brandon Beane used to be, something I'm going to touch on in just a second, I feel like both McDermott and Beane were sharper.
Yes.
When they were trying and striving to, hey, Bill Belichick's here, Bill Belichick's run this division, like, we have to scrap and fight and try just to win the AFC East. It's going to take a Herculean effort, and they were up to the task. And then somewhere along the way, it just feels like that fell apart.
Got easy.
And so I don't know. It's a good litmus test, if nothing else. If nothing else, hey, there's now competition here, because you've got a group of people who proved, if nothing else, they can spend a bunch of money in free agency smartly. They can manage a game. You've got a veteran head coach who's been to AFC championship games before. It's not like Mike Vrabel doesn't have experience. Josh McDaniel has been a play caller in the NFL for decades. So it's not like you don't have experience in that regard. You're definitely not relying on a Joe Brady type. I think that this could maybe light a fire under some people to be like, hey, it's not easy anymore. A bunch of guys who do your job but better, or at least in some spots better, showed up. And now you can either step your game up, or you can wait for them to embarrass you so much. The owner finally decides, well, if these guys can't get the job done and can't get past them, I'm going to have to figure it out. If for nothing else, I think I like that piece of the dynamic, but I got to admit, it does suck looking up at the New England Patriots in the standings right now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And with that, we launch into our Week 15 preview. The Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. Your time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. The place, Gillette Stadium in Foxboro, Massachusetts. The weather, I feel like this helps the Bills. 32 degrees with a 90% chance of snow with about 13 to 15 mile an hour winds. If that truly does end up being the weather report for the game, I'd have to think that favors Buffalo, doesn't it?
Sounds like it.
For a line, Chris, I had it going off at the Bills -1.5. What is it right now?
I'll pull it up. But we have Iron Eagle and J.J. Watt, 1 o'clock game. I'm going to assume. I'll throw the coverage map up right now. I believe it's going to be the entire country unless you live in a market that already has a CBS game. And then for a line, it's Buffalo -1.
Okay, so we're back to -1. And a part of me feels like that's not Buffalo being favored, quote unquote, so much as it is that the betting community got a hold of the Bills +1, +1.5, whatever they opened at, and just bet it to a degree where the books had no choice but to adjust. I mean, do you think that there's a world where that happens?
I don't know.
I mean, either way, it's a pick 'em.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm getting distracted. We have a Ring camera, and I'm looking
Don't
at it.
do it.
I'm looking at it right now. I mean, it didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't show up. But we had an Amazon delivery today, and the person delivering it threw it in the landscape. So I was just watching my wife pick up an Amazon package out of our landscape. Thank you, Amazon.
this is why I don't want a Ring camera. Because you know what the problem is? If you're going to do something like Chris, perfect example. There's someone in my neighborhood who has been walking around, and so somebody has a problem and they're trying to hide it from someone. That's the only reason it's the only excuse or answer for this. I wake up in the morning, usually like in the summertime mostly. If you walk out of our neighborhood, down the street, out to the main drag, and then you go up maybe a few hundred feet, there's a convenience store. And someone is walking to this convenience store from somewhere back in my neighborhood, buying multiple tall boy gas station, like high gravity beers, and drinking them on their walk back and just throwing the cans in front of people's houses. There's usually one near the corner, one across the street in my neighbor's front yard, or one across the street in front of mine, and one up the street somewhere going that way. Now, I rage about this, but at the same time, I thought about getting a trail camera and setting it up to try to find out who it is. But you know what the problem with that logic is? The second that I know definitively, I see you do a thing, now I'm obligated to respond. Now I have to do something about this. As long as I don't see it, I can plead ignorance and I can just go about my life. If I see, because Chris, now imagine I see that guy out walking his dog later in the afternoon. Now I have to come out of my house and confront you about this because I know it's you.
Yeah, well, now it just showed up in my notifications on my phone. I'm looking at it right now. Is the Amazon app, because you got to take a picture of the product that you delivered. There's a package in my landscape on top of the snow, and they're like, take a picture, confirm delivery. I delivered it.
That's shameless, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the cut of his jib.
Yeah, well, it's literally a foot and a foot and a half from the first step. You couldn't put it
out of your bushes,
on the stoop.
Idiot. He goes, get this out of your bushes, idiot, and then takes a picture and uploads it to Amazon because he goes, this is how little I give a damn. What are you gonna do? Fire me during Christmas? This guy rules. I take it back. That guy's the best.
It was actually a woman that did it, according to my wife.
Well, she rules. I give her a round of applause. The injury report ahead of this one is going to be, I think it's going to make or break the game, to be honest. Defensive end Joey Bosa. Linebacker Terrell Bernard with an elbow. Spencer Brown, Josh Palmer. If you want to find out everything you can about their injuries, bangedupbills.com. Don't sit here and listen to me bloviate about it. These are significant members of the Bills that were all deemed to be trending in the right direction, and there's a chance that some of them could play. Practice reports in the run-up to this are going to be crucial. Dalton Kincaid is also probably going to be limited throughout the week. You know, reading Kyle Trimble his talk about his knee flaring up and how now it's like not just the oblique, but also the hamstring and this. He's rehabbing all this, and all the statistics will paint a picture of a Bills offense that's way more dynamic without the former first round pick. And yet, I don't know. Is it crazy for me to say that I really don't see a future for him beyond next season?
Who for Knox?
I don't even want them picking up his 5th year option.
Oh, Kincaid.
I don't even want them picking up his 5th year option. I want them to develop a plan for all of our pass catchers and move on and use that excess cap space that I don't care if it's $5 million. You take that and you put it towards real pass catchers. I mean, this is a guy who just does not seem cut out long term for the rigors of an NFL season, much less an NFL career. And I think that would make a really terrifying investment long term, especially for a football team that struggled to get optimum value from its second contracts for the last few years. Think about this. Back at the top of the show, I talked about how pressure on Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott might have been one of the things that made them great at their jobs. Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Those are all players that from 2017 to 2021, we got great value for those guys on their initial contracts and their rookie deals. And then when we extended them, they continued to provide Pro Bowl and all-pro level performances. Matt Milano, in 2020, you go out and right before the deadline, remember, I feel like it was like him or John Feliciano, and Beane decided to let Feliciano walk, and he found a way to negotiate with Matt Milano. And that was when we knew that Tremaine Edmonds was pretty much gone. He's had production, but his durability has kind of robbed us of a lot of the value that contract was supposed to provide. Most notably, I think, against the Chiefs and in the postseason. Matt Milano's just never been around. And when he has been around, he's been a shell of himself. 2022, Dawson Knox. Decent initial value, but it hasn't aged well. He's $14 million against this year's salary cap. Has he earned a $14 million cap hit? He's being paid more than at least Palmer and I think Palmer and Shakir and not Curtis Samuel because he's an overpaid jackass, but I don't know. He's being paid like a lot of our playmakers combined, and he's given you none of the value right up until that game against the Bengals. 2023 through 2025. Think about the guys we've extended. Rousseau, Bernard, Benford, Shakir. It's a lot of money you handed out as a GM, and one of them you're getting exactly what you paid for in Khalil Shakir. And the other, Benford, is rounding into form. He's starting to play like the player we thought he could be. But Rousseau seems to have plateaued. And Bernard's play has people questioning if he shouldn't be moved to a different position altogether. Sabres fans out there will think about Tage Thompson and being moved from center to wing, back to center. It's like, look, if I'm paying you a premium, I shouldn't have to figure out where the hell you play on a field. Things are trending downward in terms of how Brandon Beane drafts and how he spends his money. And while you could argue that the situation shouldn't be commingled with how you spend future money, it's hard not to see what looks like a number of recent whiffs in doubling down on draft picks that didn't hit the peak you thought they might. And I don't know, like, don't compound it with also spending future cap space on it. The fact that we're here in week 15 and now Dalton Kincaid's being talked about is questionable, and we don't know. We hope it pans out, and maybe he can play through this weird knee. Chris, I thought that was supposed to be over, and this was the year we were going to see everything he could give us, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, here we are again. For New England, they've got some issues. Left tackle Will Campbell and defensive tackle Milton Williams, both of them are on IR. It's two of the biggest offseason acquisitions for their team. Currently on IR, will not play in this game. And as we're going to talk about, there's places where that unfortunately matters. Okay? Chris Tonga, defensive tackle. He was limited. Chest injuries. Missed a couple games for them. And that's important because he might be their next most impactful defensive tackle. And he only plays 30 to 40% of the snaps. Left guard Jared Wilson. Also important because if you're playing a backup left tackle, you don't also want to be playing a backup left guard. They're big because due to the aforementioned IR designations, the Patriots need all the help they can get in the trenches. In 2024, the Bills clinched the AFC East in week 13 after just absolutely wailing on the San Francisco 49ers. That game was a lot of fun. Josh Allen threw and then got like a lateral for a touchdown pass, which set the fantasy football world on fire. And it was the earliest that an NFL division had been decided in almost a decade. Fast forward, it's now week 15. A year and change later, and the Bills are once again playing in a game where the division could be decided, just not in the way we all might have hoped. And here to talk to us about it, longtime Rockpile Report guest, Mr. Mark Schofield from SB Nation. How are you, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, boys. It is great to see you, especially under these circumstances. No, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're good. For those of you who are kind of newish to the show, here's what I'll say. We have had a very long and hilarious relationship with Mark Schofield. There was the day that Tom Brady announced that he was leaving Foxboro, and we got Mark on the show. We had a really somber kind of, hey, man, what's going on? How do you feel? And then as soon as he got done, like kind of really getting it all off his chest, we played Cool in the Gang, celebrate, and we popped bottles of champagne.
Literally pop bottles of champagne.
And we rubbed it right in his face. We are the pet.
It was fantastic content.
We're the Pettiest Bills podcast. That's what we do. So with that said, it's nice to have you back here under, I don't know, I feel like we're finally back on even footing here a little bit.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It's been a very interesting season. I think the
winning 10 games in a row?
Winning 11 games? That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, winning 11 games,
interesting is one way to put it.
It's one way to put it. I'm very curious to see how this game goes on Sunday, because for so many people in the sort of sports media world, maybe people like Drew that like linger in the Pat's Pulpit comment section.
I'm still in there.
The question about the Patriots' schedule has sort of been behind this all, right? Are they really good? Have they played anybody? Have they beaten anybody? So this is a fascinating game from that perspective, because if they're actually good, if they're actually a team that could be the number one seed, that could win the division, this is a game you got to win, right? Like, this is a game that you have to put your best foot forward, win this football game, show everybody that's been saying you haven't played anybody, look, we beat the Buffalo Bills twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's big. And it would do a lot to silence some of that criticism. It really would. And it would go a long way towards also cementing the legitimacy of what is probably the most successful hire. Ben Johnson is doing really well in Chicago, all things considered. You want to talk about turning around struggling programs. But I'd argue Mike Vrabel's job here is probably, he's the most successful hire right now of the last offseason hiring cycle. I mean, and you think about think about what he walked into last spring. The firing of Gerard Mayo. It was one of the things I joked about over here, that the most damning thing about his tenure was that he was too comfortable telling reckless truths, things you shouldn't be saying out loud if you're a pragmatic NFL head coach. Like the time that he admitted flat out, he goes, oh, hey, it was probably around this time of year, about week 13, 14. And he was asked by a journalist in the pool, hey, do you feel like there was more you wanted to do this season, or were there things that you wanted to try to develop here that you just don't think you got the chance to? And his response was literally, oh, I had a plan for this group and that group, and I had things I wanted to help grow, and a matriculation process for the entire team and how it would impact the playbook. But then the season just moved so fast it got away from me. You don't say that out loud.
You can't say that.
You can't say it. Even if it's the truth, you can't say it. And the second you say it, you're probably going to get fired.
And you also can't shoot dice on the plane.
This is also true. That's true. So now Vrabel and McDaniel slide into this void in a single season, seem to have brought back just seriousness to a football organization that had it for decades.
Yeah, that seriousness is back. That level of accountability, I think, is back. That idea that, look, you're going out there to do a job. You're going out there to be a professional football player. That's all bad. I do think a lot of the success we've seen this season does come down to the development of Drake May and the step forward that he's taken. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make the case that he's MVP. I'm not going to sit here and make the case that like he's in that upper echelon Mahomes, Allen tier of quarterbacks. But he's taken a massive step forward. And for Patriots fans, and I'd almost put myself in this category. If you're looking at right now, they're playing with house money. You're looking at Drake May and say, this could be the start of something big. This could be the start of 3, 5, 7 years, not just this is great, catching lightning in a bottle, run this, it's going to be a great season, ride it until it ends. This could be the start of something huge because you have the guy. And that's what I wanted this year. I wanted to get to this point of this season, convinced Drake May was the guy. Anything else, icing on the cake.
100%.
6 wins, 8 wins. So here we are right now. This is tremendous.
In Josh Allen's second season, and this is always the fallacy, right? The Josh Allen development curve that everyone dies on. It's like climbing Mount Everest. Every GM who ever says, hey, I drafted a guy who I think can be the next Josh Allen, he's proven to be one of one. And if you're like, that's how you get in trouble with guys like Trey Lance. And you end up taking him at the top of a draft and he just tanks on you. And it's where I think you get into some trouble with guys like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of some of the names. It's your Anthony Richardsons where you go, he's raw, but it's okay because it's worked before. Well, that doesn't mean anything. But when you start to see the development at this rate, like when you think of where Josh Allen was in his developmental curve, it was his second season. 2019, the Bills made the playoffs a year after being a laughingstock. In 2018, mostly because we made the whole plan about Nathan Peterman, which is just a hilarious concept. And Josh Allen wasn't that good as a rookie. He couldn't pass the football. 2019, he took a big step forward. And then 2020 is when he exploded and became MVP conversation Josh Allen. If Drake May can put that work in, it seems like he's got the tools. He's got some athleticism. He's got some size. He's got all the things that you want if there was a guy that you could look at and go, here's a young kid who can be successful for this team in this system with these guys, and maybe he can be bigger than that. Maybe he starts to show you, hey, I don't need to be protected by a scheme somewhere in year 3, year 4, but at least he's gotten you to this point, which as someone who used to play the quarterback position, that's half the battle is just getting to the point where somebody thinks, hey, this guy's already moved past the developmental stage. And May seems to be doing this. He seems to be checking boxes week over week, month over month. I look at this and I think that this game is going to be big for his development. I think it's big for him, win or lose, which regardless of how it goes, there's lessons to be learned in this because I think they're either going to win because he comes out and puts on a masterclass in how to maintain composure, or they're going to lose and he's going to go back and go, man, there's a lot of teach tape in this one. And either way, it's a good thing for the kid. There's some things around him. Earlier we were talking about this concept, and it's something we're going to close tonight's show with, just what the makeup of the AFC playoff field is and how little experience. For the first time in forever, there's not a lot of quarterback experience in this field. And Drake May is part of this group where there is a learning curve when it comes to postseason football. And this is where you're hitting this matchup like this against a quarterback like Josh Allen. This is playoff football. And so you're going to find out, it's almost like it's like a pretest for the SAT. He's getting to take a pretest for what playoff football is going to be in a month from now. And he's getting it this week. And I think that's fascinating. I think it's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for him. It's a huge opportunity for this team because when you don't have that experience as an entire team of playing December games that matter, playing playoff games, it takes some time to adjust to that. It takes some time to get in the flow of that. It takes some time to get in the flow of that from Monday when you're going to start preparing for that game because it's an entirely different level. And so having that opportunity to do that, coming off a bye, getting to do it at home, I think those are very big things for Drake May. I think there are very big things for this young team that is learning how to win games, that is learning how to play meaningful football. I mean, obviously, Vrabel has coached in games like this before. He's played in games like this before. McDaniels has coached in games like this before, but certainly this young team hasn't. And so that's a huge opportunity for them. But to sort of zoom out, like you said, this AFC as a whole, Bo Nix, yeah, they made the playoffs last year, but they were the upstart 7th seed. They got the inside track to the first overall seed. Like, there's going to be some big games, some tests that he's going to have to answer. It's one thing to go in on the road to play a playoff game as a 7th seed. That's one thing. You have a home game, divisional round as the number 1 seed coming off a bye, different atmosphere. A lot of these other younger quarterbacks, CJ Stroud, it seems like they're getting in. He's had some playoff games before, but what's that going to look like for him? So that's sort of, I don't know if it's a full changing of the guard in the AFC, but when you're going to have potentially Mahomes at home, Lamar at home, Burrow at home, it's going to look a lot different come January on the AFC side of things.
Well, and it's also a byproduct of what happens to your roster. The Patriots have the luxury of not having to pay a quarterback premium right now. And so they've invested that into their roster, and you're seeing the benefits that you can get around that when the quarterback is still earning peanuts and giving you upper echelon play. Every team who's currently, you just named off, who's currently laboring under what's left of their season, they're struggling with that. They're struggling with bad roster construction, and even the Buffalo Bills, poor roster construction born of poor investments, draft picks that aren't panning out, things that you needed to bank on because your quarterback is making $50 million a year. It's a quarter of your salary cap is tied up in it.
It's so fascinating because there are parallels to be found between the sort of demise of the Brady Patriots and say what we're seeing in Kansas City with Mahomes, what we might be seeing in Baltimore with Lamar, maybe Cincinnati too. The idea that, look, the quarterback is going to fix it all, right? If you miss on draft picks, if you overload on one side of the ball and it doesn't quite pan out, like you start building up a defense and it doesn't pan out, it's okay. Tom will fix it. It's okay. Pat will fix it.
That's what the Bills are doing right now.
That runs out.
We spent our whole draft class. All of our draft picks are invested in the defense. And it's like, wait a minute, where the hell is our defense?
Yeah. And so that's the sort of parallel here. It's funny. Ben Solak wrote a great piece about the Chiefs today. And he had some good stuff in there in the Bills too. But I was reading that. I'm like, the parallels are right there. It's what, and when you have that luxury of the elite quarterback, you can miss on stuff. You can miss on a lot. But when you start stacking miss after miss, you start stacking miss draft class after miss draft class, that's when you get into trouble. And the quarterback can't get you out of that.
Nope. And somehow, some way, the Bills are staying afloat while everybody else is drowning. But yeah, it feels like a changing of the guard the way this has happened. These underpaid quarterbacks are paving the way to playoff success. And it's usually because of the team around them. So with that, when I look at the Patriots, there's some things there, even more so for me than, they didn't beat anybody. I'm not concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is some of the trends in the we didn't beat anybody that I'm seeing. And it's funny, the Patriots defense, I look at this first 9 weeks of the NFL season, they didn't give up more than 50 yards rushing to a single running back in any game. That's including James Cook and the Bills the first time we played. Hot defensive start. Trenches were solid. You guys were holding people in check. Last month of football, because it's a long season, people get banged up. You start having to tap into the depth of your roster, and they've hit something of a slump, to put it lightly. I mean, 32nd in the NFL in run defense success rate over the last 4 games. 4 straight 110 or more yard rushing games allowed. I mean, you're missing your best defensive lineman in Milton Williams, and that sucks. Like, that sucks a lot of the life out of your defensive line, especially when you were rebuilding it to begin with. But what else do you see as fueling just besides his departure, or at least his absence from the lineup, what else do you see as fueling the decline in that rush defense?
I think it's a couple of different things. You have the late bye, and it's good in some senses because you get a week now to recharge before this final push. But up until that, you've played a lot of football. You've been going at it since July, basically. I think they got worn down. I think they got beat up. They got worn down. Losing Williams certainly doesn't help. But they started to get pushed around up front. They started to play closer games too, because you see, You beat Tennessee, you beat Cleveland, you get a positive game script for a defense. They have to throw the ball. You can pin your ears back. You're playing one-score games against Atlanta, one-score game against the Bucks. Yeah, you have a little breathing room against the Jets, but Bengals, that's a one-score game. You allow the team to run the ball. They don't have to become one-dimensional. And so that's certainly something to watch this weekend, because especially with this new Bills team, this is a very different Bills team than the one we saw back in week 5. More of a horizontal-based passing game, a little bit more play action. If you combine what this Bills offense looks like right now with that run defense we've seen from New England the past 5-6 weeks, that's not giving me the warm and fuzzies, my friend.
No.
Like you said, forget the who you've played and all that stuff. These are the two teams that are playing. The trend lines we've seen from that run defense, this new, I was just looking at it, something like 63% of Allen's passes the past 2 weeks, 5 yards or less. It's a very horizontal-based offense right now.
And that's fine. You just have to rally and tackle. And this is where it puts a lot of pressure on your front seven. One of the things I heard coming out of the last game we played, you guys, was an offensive coordinator essentially saying, well, guys, the wide receivers struggled, but they're the best we're going to see, and it's fine. Everything's going to be fine. And it proceeded to not be fine. It proceeded to not be fine by drastic measure when it came to the Bills trying to orchestrate a passing attack to their wide receivers. They have since kind of fed into what we, who kind of look at this, have known as their strength all along in their running backs and tight ends. And when they do that and they live in that world, they can brutalize a team, especially a team whose linebackers are not in sync and are not prepared to cover in like a tight zone close to the line of scrimmage against a guy who outweighs you and you probably don't have a size advantage against, or a running back in space who has better agility than you. It's tough to defend a team. If Buffalo really steers into its strengths, it becomes difficult to stop that, never mind the rushing attack.
Yeah, and these are the things that are keeping me up at night headed into this game. It's just this revamped version of the Bills offense. I don't know if it matches up well with New England. And then you remember how that game was won for New England. I mean, you had turnovers. You had some fluky turnovers too. And it was a 3-point game. Mm-hmm. So, yes, on the one hand, New England, my mind, they're playing with house money. At the same time, though, you don't want to squander opportunities. You don't want to squander chances. I think of the Commanders from last year to this year, right? They make a run to the NFC Championship game. You're thinking, oh, we got Jaden Daniels. It's going to be great. We're going to win for years. Where are they right now? You might feel as a Commanders fan, look, we've squandered that opportunity. Same thing with New England, right? You got a chance to deliver the knockout blow, win the division, knock your rivals down to being a wild card team, and you lose that game. Well, there you got 1 game lead to go, and that's not great.
Pressure. It just creates pressure where it doesn't need to be there. If I want to talk about the other side of the ball real quick, because the offense has been good. It's been efficient. It's been effective, except for one thing that's bugging me, and that's your red zone offense. I have never seen an 11-win football team. You guys have been playing some real white-knuckle football, and it's cool if you're into that kind of thing and you don't have a team. You don't have a horse in the race.
No, it's all fun to watch.
You love watching an exciting, close, white-knuckle football game when it's not your team.
Where they had 6 plays and 1st and goal from the 1, and they couldn't get it in. It's just
8 plays. 8 plays. So I have the number on this. For those of you listening at home, those of you watching on YouTube, there's something wrong. And some of it has to do with the rushing struggles, but there's something wrong with the red zone offense of the Patriots against Cincinnati, a team that we know now, having played them, to have no defense. And that's houses of glass. I understand. They won on a last touchdown drive that they had to go down and win the game, but New England ran 8 plays inside the 5-yard line and didn't score any points. They're 27th in red zone EPA per play, 25th in touchdown percentage in the red zone at just around 51%. There's not many 11-win football teams that struggle to execute inside the 20. it seems improbable you get there while being bad in this one area of the field. Is it an inability to run the ball effectively? Is it a quarterback issue? Is it a roster build issue? What is it?
I don't know, but when you're behind Tennessee and the Raiders in any statistic this year, it's not good. But in touchdown scoring percentage in the red zone, they're behind those two teams. I getting down, scoring down in the red area, particularly the lower area, it's tough, right? Because you bring the sidelines, you bring the end line, you get those sort of 3 extra defenders. So you're almost playing 11 on 14. Everything's tougher down there because everything's so compacted. McDaniels as a play caller is great, but if I've had sort of a bone to pick with him over the years he's been in New England, it's that area of the field. It's that low red zone where sometimes you try to get too cute, sometimes try to get too exotic when you just got to line up and beat people up, run the ball downhill instead of spreading things out, running back screens or trying to throw multi-level layered concepts in the end zone. Just go downhill. Maybe they're just sort of second guessing themselves. I don't know, but it's an issue. And it's going to be an issue when you start thinking about these games we're talking about, these December playoff type games, playoff type atmosphere. You're going to finish drives with 7. If you're settling for 3 against Josh Allen on Sunday or against the Broncos at a potential hypothetical AFC championship game or whatever situation you want to talk about, you're not going to win most of the time. So they have to figure that part out. And I certainly hope, sitting here Tuesday night, friends, that they spent the bye week self-scouting their red zone offense, their red zone play calling. What are we doing wrong? What could we be doing better? What should we be doing more of down in the low red area? Because if they're still at 51% on touchdowns in the red zone in the playoffs, they'll be one and done.
And that's the fear, right? You have the concept of, like, go back to this week's Bills-Bengals game. If they're going to turn on tape this week and go, hey, guys, do you want to see something crazy? Here's the Buffalo Bills going for it on 4th and goal. And they're going to throw it to a 5th-round pick tight end in Jackson Hawes for the go-ahead touchdown. Why? Because Josh Allen can do that. And do you know why Josh Allen can do that? Because guess what else they do? They flip over a couple frames and they go, he has the ball 4 yards away from the goal line, but they will run a quarterback draw. And he's a battering ram, and there's nothing you can, like, they're showing this to their offense. They're showing this to their front 7. They're going, guys, this is what you're going up against. And if you can't match them with that level of intensity and execution, it can get away from you. I don't know. Throwing all the playoff percentages and everything else out the window, because it seems like we're both going to make this thing. This is probably, you figure 2019 was the first time the Bills made the playoffs with Josh Allen and Tom Brady both in the AFC East at the same time. And that was also the last time our two teams were in the playoffs together. So it's been a while. Would a loss to Buffalo in this moment be seen as a blow to the rise of the New England Patriots and all this talk about growth and everything else? It's one game. It doesn't mean your season's over. It doesn't mean anything. But a loss, especially one where maybe there's a little bit of physicality on our side of the football, which we've been finding as of late, what would that do philosophically in the minds of fans?
I think it really depends. I think there's almost 2 schools of thought among Patriots fans right now. There are those, and I'd probably put myself more in this category where, look, I just wanted a reason to watch in December, right? I wanted, when I'm sitting down with the tree in the background and everything, and they show that little playoff graphic, in the hunt teams.
Yep.
Have New England there, I'm fine. So the fact that you're 11-2, you got a chance to win the division here, house money. Like, so a loss, I'm not losing that much sleep over it. I'll lose some, not a lot. But then I think there are a portion of the Patriots fans that realize that, look, you have an opportunity to do something special this year. And if you lose this game and suddenly it's down to 1 game in the division, yes, you could still win it, but it slows the momentum. It slows that progression, that development. You've had the bye week. You've had a chance to take advantage of that late bye week, get close to healthy, get everybody on the same page, self-scout the red zone offense, whatever you want to do, figure things out. You lose this game, though, stunts all of that. So I think there are sort of two schools of thought about this game. Ultimately, though, given where I wanted this team to be, if they lose, as long as they're competitive, as long as they're in the fourth quarter, still got a chance to win this game, I'm okay. If they get blown out, though, if Buffalo comes into Gillette, runs them out of the field, dominates both sides of the ball, then I think you're going to see a lot of people who are worried Monday about, okay, they'll still get in. Well, we're absolutely one and done, and we got some work to do.
It's going to be a fascinating run up to the end of the regular season, and then just seeing how this playoff field shakes out. I can't wait, and I like that it's almost a guarantee that the Patriots are going to host a playoff game, just because, again, I'm a hater. I'm an eternal hater. This is the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast, and one of the best parties I ever threw. I broke my parents' coffee table, to be honest. And I did an episode of Ravens Film Study about the play that opened this game. I can remember the Patriots hosting the Baltimore Ravens at Gillette Stadium. And on the very first play from scrimmage, Marshall Yanda gets to the second level and pancakes a linebacker, seals a safety, and Ray Rice takes 80 yards to the house on the first play of the game. And it was a rout. From that point forward, the Patriots, with Tom Brady at the height of their powers, they got punched in the mouth, and they never recovered in that game. And when it happened, I jumped up, now all 310 pounds of me at the time, jumped up on top of my parents' coffee table, and the legs just snapped right off the thing. My mom's screaming, I'm fist pumping, and I'm spraying a beer in the air. Like, it was manna from heaven. I feel like right now the Patriots are doing well. They've got to establish that they can hold up in these trenches, or else you could be reliving that moment again. And I don't think Patriots Nation wants to see that.
No, I mean, look, that's some dark times to recall, that Rice touchdown, because that was one of those, it was over. Like, you just knew. I knew in that moment. I remember in condo we were living in downtown DC on that brown couch that we had at the time. I'm sitting there and grabbed the remote and contemplated just turned the game off. You just knew they were not going to win that football game. And that's what I want to avoid, right? If we have this conversation a week from now, Buffalo wins 24-20 or something like that, and it's a competitive game, goes down to the wire, Buffalo wins, fine, you chip your hat, great, fantastic. If you rip off a touchdown run like that, or just open this game with like a 15-play drive, just chunk play after chunk play, just put the defense on the heels from jump, and it's like that all afternoon, yeah, then I'm going to feel pretty queasy.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, I love you, but I hope that for you. I hope that for you this holiday season. I hope Santa puts that under your tree this year. So since you're the Schofield family tree, I love it. You're not in your typical basement. Since you're no longer on Twitter, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where they can find all your work?
Yes, that's right. I am no longer on Twitter. I mean, there's no point to it. I would put something on there, nobody would read it. I tried Threads, that didn't work. So now I'm over on Blue Sky. I don't even know what my Blue Sky name is. It's just Mark Schofield. So you get that. SBNation.com. You have the lovely little feed feature where you can write stuff on .com.
Yep.
I'm sure Drew is going to fire something up Sunday night if this game goes the way I hope it doesn't. But yeah, Blue Sky, SBNation.com. Those are the various places you can find me.
And are you going to Azerbaijan? I can't even pronounce it.
Azerbaijan.
We might, that race is next fall again. So maybe I'll swing a trip to Baku. I mean,
we have a bunch of
places to spend a weekend.
We have a bunch of F1 aficionados who follow us, and they love having you on, if nothing else, because I can't pronounce any of the names of these places, and they're
Azerbaijan,
and they just love that you get to go there.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to Azerbaijan. I was down in Austin in October, which was fantastic. Max Verstappen swept the weekend, and It was a ton of fun to watch, but Lando Norris did just take the title with a win in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, so good for Lando. And if you're curious to see what it looks like when I'm interviewing Lando Norris, I got the photo to show you.
Mark Schofield, SB Nation, writes for F1 now, but still watches enough football. No longer on Twitter. You can find him on Blue Sky at Mark Schofield.
The number of people who have abandoned Twitter, you know what's funny? Never. When people are like, you should delete your account. Nope. You should. Nope. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sorry that my presence bothers you. You have a solution for that if you don't like it. The ball is completely in your court. I have nothing to do with this. I'm going to keep doing whatever the hell I want to do. As is the right. That's one person I will say who's quit the platform that I do miss. Mark Schofield. I miss being able to tweet him random Scrubs gifs at all hours of the day, knowing he will respond. He's morally obligated to do so. In fact, if anything, I might sign up for Blue Sky just so I can go back to do it.
We have Blue Sky.
See, that tells you everything I know about social media. So, ahead of this one, a look as we do every week now at the playoff picture in the AFC. It's been elimination season for the last 2 weeks. For the AFC field, it was pretty much comprised of the teams you'd expect, right? Chris, off the top of your head, who do you think got eliminated over the last 2 weeks in the NFL?
Kansas City, and that's all that matters.
Not yet. Don't get ahead of yourself. But who do you think? If you name 3 teams in the AFC that are out of it now officially.
Jets, Dolphins, Titans, Browns.
Close. The Dolphins are teetering. They're at less than 1, but they're not mathematically eliminated yet. The Jets, the Browns, the Raiders, and the Titans have all had their ticket punched. Their seasons are effectively ended well before Week 18. And thanks to the Buffalo Bills, those Skyline chili-loving dorks from Ohio are next on the chopping block. I want to raise a glass to that. We will see the Cincinnati Bengals in hell. Cheers.
Cheers.
It is funny. I started a fight once in a bar in Ohio because I basically declared that if Kentucky wasn't such a bunch of cowards, they would just annex Cincinnati. I go, what are you going to do about it, Ohio? Your whole state should be a sinkhole. You'd be weird. Like, the Ohioans have a weird civic pride that I'll never understand, considering how terrible the rest of the state is. It's hilarious. Sunday's win over the Bengals was a massive swing for a Bills team that's been living kind of week to week when it came to their playoff chances. We at one point were down in the low 80s with the chance to tumble into the 50s, maybe the 30s. Now today we're sitting at a 98% shot to make the postseason. And given the tiebreakers we hold and some of the stuff going on around us, like stunning is the only word I can use to describe the collapse of the 2025 Chiefs. There really isn't much we have to worry about. With that loss on Sunday night, KC's 6-7, and their playoff odds are down around 11%. It's awesome. And I wonder, where is all the Taylor Swift content now? Like, how come there's no commercials out there of Travis Kelce being smarmy? And yeah, I don't, it doesn't seem like it's fun in Kansas City anymore, does it?
No, it's not.
I haven't seen Jackson Mahomes dancing anywhere in public. It's nice. I feel like it's sort of like there's a catharsis to be had right there. If you talk about somebody who needs that. Also, does it make you feel a little bit better watching the Houston defense just pummel everybody in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, I like how the playoff picture's turning out. I would love to keep Houston in that final spot the rest of the way. It's going to be tough.
Well, this is where it all becomes important, right? It's the concept of now we kind of know what the field is going to look like. Who do you play? You're never going to get an NFL team that will admit that they shaved a point or two or that they made a decision that specifically led to a certain playoff matchup. That's just not the NFL. You know, we fans might say that, like, oh man, if the Bills happen to lose this last game, They could fall down a seed and then, so-and-so would play so-and-so. That's not how NFL teams operate. They don't care. I mean, when's the last time in any sport? I don't even think they do that in hockey, do they?
Do what?
Like purposely, like you never try to, not purposely, but hey, so-and-so's hurt and so-and-so's hurt. We're going to give Tage Thompson the night off and Alex Tuck and all of our goaltenders. And we're going to make sure that we get a matchup we like in the playoffs.
Load management only exists in the NBA.
Exactly. So with that said, as we fans would be like, well, it would be like, it might help if the Bills just stay where they are because in that way they can avoid Houston. Or you can try to find a way to get to a place where somebody else has to play them. I just like the makeup of the teams. That's what I've been looking at. Who does it look like is most probable to be here? And what do I know about them? And I've got to say, I like what I see. If you're talking about the Buffalo Bills' chances of making this as a wild card team, first of all, the playoff picture is a far cry from the playoff field we thought we were getting in the preseason. But the reason for that, it's probably the starkest difference from this year to the last 5 years, is just the lack of experience and star power at the quarterback position. That's it. That's the thing that makes this playoff picture so jarring for everyone. We're used to living in an NFL where if you have a great quarterback, you make the playoffs. Look, how many games this season can you say Josh Allen has willed us to a victory?
It's a handful.
And you say, oh man, if you have an elite quarterback, you can make the playoffs because you can get away with that. And so to see all of the quarterbacks who everyone regularly talks about as being in the top 5, your Burrow, your Mahomes, your Lamar Jackson, your CJ Stroud, if he's talking about himself in the third person. You look at this, they're missing from the playoff picture. And I think that's significant. Because if you look at what's there, 3 of the 7 teams involved in the AFC playoff field, teams, Chris, I'm looking at teams that have a 60% or better odds, okay, to make it.
Denver, New England, second-year quarterbacks.
3 of the 7 have a quarterback that's never won a playoff game in their career. Now, New England, Drake May's never played in one, but also the Chargers, also Bo Nix out west, because we mopped them up in that game. The 2 from the AFC South, Houston, Jacksonville, CJ Stroud at your Rod, it's your Trevor Lawrence. They're tied at 3-3 combined wins and losses over their careers. 3 wins across 5 starting quarterbacks. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has 5 touchdowns and 5 picks, and he's never completed more than 61% of his passes. That's about as mid as you can get, right? That, and he's probably the most likely in the field to get caught picking a booger on national TV. Meanwhile, Josh Allen has 7 wins as a quarterback in the postseason, including one of them where he played the perfect game. The only perfect game in NFL playoff history. I don't know. I like my odds there. There's a lot of youth and a lot of inexperience and playoff football is different, right? There's something to be said about playoff football because you're stuck playing some of the best teams in each conference. And yet every year there's always at least one laugher.
Well, and depending on where the games are being held, you have weather is now a factor. So if you look at the top of the AFC, you got Denver, New England, Pittsburgh are going to host playoff games as of right now. Weather's not going to be great in any of those cities.
Nope. So is your team built to play a game that can thrive in crappy weather when footing's not great? Your defense is awesome. What happens to your defense when it has to play in the snow? What happens to your pass rushers? You look at the other, Chris, you know who the other quarterbacks are? Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers. First of all, Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, well, you don't need to talk about it. Indianapolis is out. The minute they lost Daniel Jones to injury, they're out. They're done. They're not making it. That's a guarantee. You don't need to talk about.
Is that the Chris Krueger guarantee?
Krueger guarantee. You're not going to see the Ravens and Chiefs have a better odds to make the playoffs than the Colts.
Can I interest you in a Seagram's bet?
Yeah, 100%.
the Indianapolis Colts will finish in the standings above at least one of those two teams.
No, because the talk is playoffs. They're not going to be in the playoffs. Colts are out of the playoffs. They're done. Their season's over with.
All right. I just don't know that I've seen a conference playoff field this lacking in talent at the quarterback position, or at least star power. And then when you factor in head coaching experience, you have a bunch of inexperienced quarterbacks with a bunch of really experienced head coaches. Vrabel, McDermott, Peyton, Tomlin, Harbaugh. 5 of the 7 to 8 in the field have been to at least one conference title game as a head coach. Does Tomlin's recent run of embarrassments negate the rest of his career?
No.
Like, does that count as, like, did it diminish his experience? Like,
No.
as an advantage in the postseason?
No, considering he hasn't won a playoff game since like 18.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't get a benefit of the doubt just because, hey, I'm Mike Tomlin and I have a Super Bowl ring.
No, his team sucks.
What about for the AFC South teams? Does it make a difference that their head coaches have no playoff experience?
Duval.
You've got him and D'Amico Ryans, who have 2 of the, I would say, least talented quarterbacks in the playoff field.
The least talented.
And so you're going to do what in the postseason?
Jack shit.
I don't know. It's fascinating watching what the makeup of this field has become. And now it's, over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll figure out the seeding. It's going to be fascinating. I still think my favorite matchup, if we can find a way to manifest it, favorite matchup is going to be finding a way to get the Houston Texans in Foxboro to play the New England Patriots. I think that would just be a fascinating watch. Again, there is always at least one. That's the other thing. When you look through these 7 teams as they sit right now, there's always one just laugher. It'll be interesting to see who it is this year. Hopefully the Bills aren't this year's Cleveland Browns. I love it. Tonight's been fun, but we got to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. Huge shout out to Mark Schofield for taking time out of his day to visit with all of us. And this has been your Rockpile Report.